IdealSpot. I'm going to go through a couple quick things here on a quick screen recording for you folks, and specifically for the Coin Laundry Association for your webinar, which is turning demographic data into dollars. After we go through building a quick report using the CLA template, I'll go through each data set and try to give a brief explanation of the value of each of those data sets. And then I will go through really quick the sources of our data and how often we update those data sources. And then finally, I will give a brief overview of how you can use the reports to help make your decisioning on site selection. So real quick, let's dive in here. This is the Coin Laundry Association website. I'm assuming that if you're on the call, most people are going to be either a member or at least signed up with Coin Laundry Association. Underneath membership, you can go and click on member benefits. And in this, you can see IdealSpot demographic reports. If you click on that, it'll give you an option here. Either you're a member or you're a non-member. And you can either click on either one of these and it should take you to the page. Right now I'm not logged in to CLA, but you either join CLA or you're logged into CLA, and then it'll drop you, once you create an account or you log into your account, you'll drop into your IdealSpot platform page. Once you get here, and for this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my templates here, and I'm going to scroll down and you see the CLA template report. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to click on build a report here, and I'm going to put in an address. One of the addresses that I actually like to use here is an address in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I am from, and I'm going to go ahead and you have the option of putting in a new address here. In this case, we can type in a new address and it'll show up and you can select that address, but I already have an address in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this address. And for the point of this demo, what I'm actually do is I'm going to compare this location to another location that I have in St. Paul, Minnesota. Again, these are sample addresses that we're using here, but I'm going to click on compare. And so I have the main address, which is Clada 1, which is actually a coffee shop, and Clada 2, which is their second coffee shop. And I'm going to use them for this example. And we have those two addresses, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on trade areas. And it's going to zoom in here on the main location that we are looking to pull data around. And we're going to set the, in this case, either circumference, if it's a ring, or you can do a drive time or a walk time. Now, the template has a default, but you can come in here and you can also add additional either ring analysis or a drive time analysis. I typically do a drive time because it's, I believe it's more accurate, just because it's showing how long it takes to a specific location. And in this case, what you can see here is a 5-minute drive time from that address, so that location. So how long does it take to get to that location? And it's showing you the circumference within a 5-minute drive time. Now we're going to click on run this report. And what it's going to do now is it's going to pull the data within a 5-minute drive time, or if it's pre-selected in the template, which it is, it's going to pull all the data sets within those selected areas for all of the data sets that we have preset on the CLA template. So we're going to go ahead, and once it pulls that data, you'll be able to see a comparison between site A, which is the first site that we were looking at, and then we were comparing it against a second site. So it's going to zoom in here, and just a brief overview of what we have and what we're looking at here is this. You can go ahead and collapse so we can give us a little bit more workspace here. But on this tab right here is our insights, where you can add in additional data sets if you want, from in place of or in addition to the existing template that's already been built here. So we'll come back to that in a second. But first, let's go ahead and see what the CLA template includes. It has a trade area map, so you can see the two locations here, and it's plotting both of these locations within a 5-minute drive time. Then you see a table industry, which is specific to Coin Laundry that we built for you folks. And it breaks down a whole bunch of information here that you folks have pre-selected within the 5-minute drive time. And you can see some staging of both percent and data. And you can see age buckets and age years within a 5-minute drive time. You can see household income, you can see household size, type, labor force, bunch of data on the housing and the rent data. And then we have a vehicle traffic report that's pulled for the closest street. And this is broken down by time of day and day of week. And then it's giving you a daily traffic volume. And then we also have home value broken down. And now it's showing you the breakdown between Clada 1 and Clada 2, so you can see how they differ. And the reason that I actually like to plot two locations is that it creates some context. So if you have a benchmark location or a competitor location that you actually think is a really good location, let's say, or a good laundromat, use that as the benchmark to give you a sense of how does this area compare. Is this, looking from the data perspective, is it a good site to go and look at? So there's the home value, and some other data sets are on age, gender, and it goes down into, we map competition, we tap into Yelp for this, and it'll give you a listing of within a 5-minute drive time, what other laundromats are in the area, what's the address, and what's their rating on Yelp, and then you can click this to go to their individual website if it's listed. So that is currently the CLA template that we have today. Again, as I mentioned, you can come over here and you can add individual data sets if you want. For instance, one of the data sets that I actually really do like, that I think is pretty valuable, is search engine demand. You can get a brief overview of what that description of that data set is here, but briefly what it is we look at how many people have searched on both Google and Bing over the last 30 days for specific related categories. What we're going to do here is I'm going to add this to the report, and again, we're going to keep this drive time, 5 minutes, and I'm going to click on and see what we have for laundry. You see we have dry cleaning, ironing, and laundry. So these are people that are look for typing in related items to dry cleaning or ironing or laundry services. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm not going to add any for this demo, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click go. And what it's going to do is it's going to grab that data, and I'm going to click on bar chart so we can actually see the number of searches within a 5-minute drive time for each of those locations. Now you can see that Clada 2 has 265 searches over the past 30 days for laundromat services versus Clada 1 has 121. So Clada 2 has roughly 2 times more demand for laundry-related services within a 5-minute drive time versus Clada 1. So 2x more demand is a significant piece of information to include when you're looking at should we go to site 1, site 2, how does this compare against a benchmark location or a peer location, or again, if you're looking at a competitor location that does really well in another market that you know of. Again, it helps to build this story, if you will, using data to get a sense of will this compare, or from a data perspective, does this look similar to a really good location that I already know? There's a bunch of other different data sets that we have in here as well. Some of these are already going to look familiar because we already included it, but you can just click through here and you can see all the different options that we have for the different maps and the different data sets that we have. So now that you have a report, what do you do? So you come back up here, assuming that you're happy with it, and you can change the name, and we can call this Mark's a demo report for CLA. We're going to click this little green check mark, and then you're good to go. You can come up here and you can do a few things. The main thing that's interesting is to generate a shareable report. Some of the other options that you have is you can generate a CSV for people that like to drop this data into an Excel spreadsheet and do some models. But for this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to click on Generate a Shareable Report. We're going to click on Export this report. And what this will do is this will create a separate PDF report that you can now share with other people. This is a unique URL right here for this report, and it includes now all of the data that we just built on the IdealSpot side. And there you go. You can hover over any of these. You can click on the table of contents and quickly go back to that listing. And even on this report, you have some different options to download a PNG image where available. And you can interact with this PDF. So now that we have a report from the CLA template with all the different data sets that we need to make a decision on our location, let's talk really quick about where we get this data. So on the traditional data sets that we have, we currently purchase this data from a company called Synergos Technologies. You might also know them from another term, which is PopStats. They're a really good partner of ours. They're actually located in Austin, Texas with us, and we get quarterly updates from them, and we try to get that data in as soon as we can. But every quarter we get updated demographic, psychographic, spending, mortgage data, market data, GDP data, crime data, you name it. And we load all of that stuff up for people to be able to pull reports on. The other data set that we acquire is our traffic data, which we pull from a company called INRIX. INRIX is what I would consider the market leader, and they work with a lot of municipalities and cities and states, and they do a really good job of aggregating up a bunch of data around the number of vehicles that are passing by streets in the United States. They have roughly 1.5 million roads across the United States with accurate counts. We don't have every single street in the United States, or I should say they don't have every street across the United States, but for the most part, they're definitely going to have most of the streets in urban centers and some in suburban centers and even some streets in rural areas. But if you're building up if you're looking for a traffic count in a very rural area or in an area that just came onto the map, chances are we might not have that count, but you at least will have counts for a very close street, or worst case, you can pull traffic from a feeder street to give you a sense of how many cars are passing across that location. Another data set that we get right here is competition. We tap into Yelp's API in real time to pull the data around competitive maps. And what else? And then our search and social data. Our search data is coming from Google and Bing, and we build that ourselves, and we update that on it's a 90-day rolling average. And then on the Facebook side, we're also pulling that social data as well, that you can start mapping social data around specific categories that are most relevant to you. Okay, so we showed you how to briefly log into the IdealSpot system, how to build a report, some of the different data sets that are valuable, and how that might be helpful in helping you determine the best location to put for your laundromat. We went over some of the sources of the data and how often we update it. And finally, how to take that report, that unique URL that you created, and how you can share it with other people. After this webinar, hopefully we'll go ahead and we can share with you this video as well, so that you can watch it again in case you have any questions or you want to see how we did something. CLA as well has a YouTube video that they've created. also walking through some of these different things on how to build a report. And as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to just go ahead and click on this chat box below here, and you can write a message and you can reach out to our support team, and we'll be happy to assist. Thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of the webinar.